All right, welcome to the third episode of Kicking It with Coach Dubb. I'm here with my special guest, Mr. Michael Spivey. I coach Spivey in football and track at Mountain Island Charter. Spivey, he's one of the students that decided to transition to college as a student. He was a student athlete in high school and decided to transition as just a student. He turned down several offers, scholarship offers to go and play football at different schools, but he decided to do what he wanted to do and what was in his heart. So first, welcome, Spivey. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Just wanted to catch up with you. How's everything been going?
It's been going great. I mean, the whole quarantine's kind of a bummer. Just kind of bored sitting inside, but I'm getting everything I need to do done. So it's going well for the situation.
No doubt. And you're a current student at NC State.
Yes.
You want to talk a little bit about your academics there?
Yeah. So so I joined or when I first went in freshman year till now, I've constantly taken about 16 to 15 credit hours, which is like not too much, but on the higher side. And I've first going in, it was a little bit of a struggle just because I went to school where I can go up and just ask my teachers any type of question. And now I'm in a 350 person auditorium where teacher doesn't know what you name, what you look like. And so, it was a struggle, but honestly, the transition was really well. And I ended up making Dean's List basically all my semesters and keeping my GPA well.
For sure. I just know you took your academics very serious, and that ran parallel to what the effort you gave us on the football field. So for any advice to any student athletes, that's current student athletes in high school, but they're just deciding, look, I don't want to play sports in high school. Do you have any advice for those guys and girls?
So the biggest thing is once you reach that point where the hypothetical person you're talking about, they've reached that point where they realize that they just want to take the academic route. It is just going to be terrible for the first part, just thinking back about all those memories. Because, you're going to have just all those friends. On our football team, there was a bunch of people in my class that ended up taking their offers and everything. And the biggest part to just realize is, no matter how much you miss it, that's what you decided on and that's what you want. And so you just really got to ride it out and then just let those memories be just that, and just make sure you to stay in touch with all the coaches, all your teammates, so you can still get that feel of the situation. You never want to leave everything behind you, but just honestly just prepare for that kind of just down moments where you start thinking about that time on the field or whatnot. But just remember that it's what you chose and that it does get a lot easier as you get older and all that.
How did being a student athlete in high school help shape your discipline as a college student?
You saw me at practice. Right when we'd finish defensive drills, I'd go over and I'd sit on the bench and start doing my calculus homework while still in full pads and everything. Just the discipline that guys like you, Coach Baker, Coach Wynn, Coach D. Ridge, just everyone just put on me. And it was just so time consuming football. So I just had to, there was in high school, it was football and class, and that's just what I had to go to. And then, so just that discipline of always making sure when you get home, you have to get on your computer and not move from that spot for hours until you have everything done. Really and then along with just you guys preaching about how you need to be successful and work hard, and no matter what you do, even if it's not on the field, just sitting on your computer doing the modules or workshops, just really shaped me to be able to keep that discipline when I went to college and just voice out the distractions.
Absolutely. And this question is along the same lines as the question I just asked. How important is taking your academics serious in high school?
It's everything, honestly. We know people that, were insane at football and everything, and they weren't able to get where they want to be without that. without those academics. And I mean, I know you told tons of stories about that for before you even came to MICS and everything, but like a lot of people, like they won't take high school seriously, but that's literally, that just sets the tone for the rest of your life, whether it be academics, whether you don't end up going to college. Like if you have that mindset to where you just want to be lazy and not do your stuff, then any other thing that you transition to, whether it be a sport or whether it be a job, it's going to be the same path and it's going to be the same tone. So I would say that just keeping your academics right in high school is just, it really just forms discipline, and that's what every person needs.
Yep. No doubt, Spivey. And ninth graders, and I get this a lot, this is the biggest thing, is when ninth graders come over, or, you know, they come up from eighth grade, they think that that grade, that they got a free year, a free pass, when college is when you submit your transcripts for admissions or whatnot, for what college you want to go to, or if a college coach is trying to recruit you, they're looking at ninth grade. You want to speak a little bit about that?
Yeah. Like a lot of things I've always heard, it's like, oh, junior year is your most important year and stuff, because that's when you're applying and all that. And I'm like, no college that's trying to get the best people is just going to look at that 1 year and disregard everything. If they saw you got a bunch of F's and then you got a good B, C, A average, they're going to look and say you're wishy-washy. You don't know what you're doing. You just kind of stuck with it because you realize you had to shape up. They're going to know that that's not your routine, and that's going to hurt you in the long run. Like, it's just every grade, I mean, you just need to go all out. Yes, sir.
No doubt. To build on that question, any advice you want to give a current high school student athlete or student period trying to make that transition to get where you're at?
Just, I mean, just like you guys always preach, just grades first. Just always keep working on and off the field. I mean, a lot of times it will feel like, and I mean, y'all touched on this more than anything, that football is the most important thing in your life at that time, because that's what consumes you. That's what you love. But I mean, like y'all said, every practice, it's not. I mean, it's a close second, but you just have to get everything done in the classroom first, because if you're trying to go the path like me, where I just decided to be a student, if you're just focused on 100%, if you're just focused on football and you're not trying to get your academics done, you're not going to get into the college you want to. And then same thing, if you're trying to go the student athlete route, then if you're not getting your academics done, then that college that you want is not going to accept you. They're not going to give you that scholarship.
For sure. Do you have any impressions or anything that you remember, sayings or anything that I said to you throughout your student athlete career?
I'm trying to think. Get to study hall.
Get to study.
Honestly, that's probably the biggest one I remember, because I mean, it just stuck with me so vividly when everyone would like walk out the hallway or be hanging in their class after school, and then you just point to the room, get to study hall.
Yeah. We was on y'all pretty hard, but you was always one of the ones that went in and helped tutor your teammates.
Yes,
and did what you were supposed to do and be a good leader. You was one of our best leaders. You had one of the best careers ever of any student athlete at Mountain Island Charter, just a complete career. So here's the fun part now. I'm going to get into some share screen. I'm going to share some stuff with you, and let me know what you think. All right?
Okay.
All right. I'm here. Hey, Spivey, let's talk about this career you had. I see you got some plaques back there. A lot of hardwood, academically and athletically, along with your big blow up poster yourself. That's clutch right there. But if they look at your wall on the back that you got going on behind you, they'll understand that's what a total student athlete looks like. So let's talk about some of these numbers. 395 career tackles, which is still a record for a career at Mountain Island Charter. Along with 13 sacks, 3 fumble causes, and 6 fumble recoveries. You want to talk about your career a little bit?
Yeah, I definitely will. So I'll just go kind of start to finish. So, yeah, so freshman year, and that was because you came in the transition to my sophomore year.
To your sophomore year. Yep.
So we played that first JV season, and I mean, I was 115 pounds. I don't know. And I had always played like the Pop Warner Little League stuff, and I was pretty good, and I was very confident going into it. And then we hit freshman year, and we had only a JV team, and that was just it was just a mess, honestly. But then so it got a little better sophomore year. I remember you and then the rest of the coaches honestly came, and we got a good coaching system going, and then that's when we really went into varsity. And I remember we had like other linebackers and stuff, but then about the second game that got all kind of messed up. So I was handed the defense as middle linebacker. I was handed the defense at about 16 years old, just like a few games into sophomore year. And then I just remember like that was the time when I realized I wasn't following anyone anymore. And I just really realized, okay, I need to step up. And then that's just when I kind of decided this is when I need to work on my leadership. I just remember sophomore season, that was I had broken 100 tackles on the game against Cannon on our field. And that was just – I remember when Mr. Matthews said it, he was like, Michael Spivey just broke for 100 tackles on the season. That's just when I realized, like, okay, this is about to get pretty serious. Because I'd always loved football, but I was the smallest guy on the field for the first 2 years. So it was always – I wasn't not confident, but I just didn't have, like, the big eyes for myself. And then at that point I realized, okay, this is going to get pretty serious. And I remember – the season ended, and you had called me. I was at my hunt club, and you had called me, and you said, "Hey, just want to let you know, just they're releasing the all conference list tomorrow. Just look out for it." And I just like, I barely even knew what it meant. Yeah. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And then so I made all conference, and that was just a blessing. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I didn't realize like really like what that entailed, but I mean, I was just so grateful for it. And then we went to junior year, and that was when I had listened a little too much to You Need to Gain More Weight.
Yeah.
I gained about 40 pounds that summer, but I wasn't too educated on what that would do to my speed. I remember I went down to defensive tackle for that season. And I mean, and at first I was like kind of upset about it. Then I did it. And I remember, I think for 1A in the state, I finished with number 1 in tackles that season at a new position. So that was just a great experience. That's when I realized like, okay, I can honestly on this defense, I can kind of go wherever. That's when I figured out like I knew how everything worked on that defense. And then we finished that out after losing to Murphy. And then so senior year came around. That's when we got Coach Antico, and I went back to linebacker. And yeah, and then that was probably my best season, and that was the most fun I've ever had in football. And it was just a blast. Like just looking back at the whole career, it was just awesome.
Yeah, you had an amazing career, Spivey, and I'm gonna show some clips here in a few. I'm gonna share screen some clips. And I just remember you just being disciplined. Coming in, you talked a little bit about your sophomore year. I remember just seeing, you wasn't being used a lot, and I seen that you was dedicated. Like you was at every practice. You went hard at every drill. No matter if we had you at linebackers or I was over there working with you on running backs. And that's really where I noticed it at. When you was giving it 100%, and I said, we could do something with this. I mean, we can have the most talented kid in the world, but if they're not disciplined to run a play that you call or what our defense or offense needs, you're useless pretty much, right? So
yeah, that's like the biggest thing I remember, because I mean, I wasn't really confident at all in my craft freshman year. And then you came, and obviously, and I had played Jeffa, so I knew all about your son and all that. And so I was like, so I knew, I mean, football. And you had came, and then you started paying a lot of attention to me compared to the other players. And I was just kind of like, I mean, I was happy about it, but I was like, okay, like what's going on? I didn't realize it. But then you started telling me, you're just like, I mean, even though I wasn't the biggest, I wasn't the fastest, I wasn't the strongest, she just kept telling me how coachable I was. And I think that's like the most important thing, because like, I mean, no matter how much a player thinks of themselves, they're still just, you follow what the coaches tell you to do. And so if you can't just learn, if you can't be coached, then there's no hope. And that was just like the biggest thing, like that I loved when you came. I just like realized like, wow, like that's actually paying off. Just like coming to practice, going hard, opposed to just like raw skill that I was lacking at the time.
Absolutely. I'm going to get into some clips right now.
All right.
We talked a little bit about first season. I'm going to play this clip. This is our night ceremony that JM likes to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's become a custom with our football program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I knew to play you yesterday. That was against Bessemer City, wasn't it?
There you go, number 42, right into action.
Yeah. I can tell you every play from that game. I remember that game like it was yesterday.
What was that feeling like to go out, because you talked a little bit about it. First year was JV and really trying to establish something. Second year, sophomore year, it was full out varsity. So that was your first ever varsity game at home. What was that moment like for you?
Well, it was, like I said, like I'll never forget that game. It was just, I mean, I can quote my mom. When she put the helmet on my head, I still remember it. She just said, like, you look like you've been waiting for this moment your whole life. And I said, I have been. Mm-hmm. And it was just, I mean, just going out there was just insane. I remember, because that was Bessemer City. We had just previously played Central Academy. Mm-hmm. And I had 10 tackles that game, I remember. And so we came to this one, and I mean, I was literally just sitting there, like, kind of thinking, like, okay, can I do that again? Can I do that again? I saw number 32 on Bessemer City, their running back, big old dude, probably had me by 150 pounds. Mm-hmm. I remember just being like, oh my gosh, how can I take him down? Thinking of the best angles. Just, I mean, I was nervous, but I was probably more excited and just ready for war than I've ever been.
No doubt. Well, I'm going to get into that particular season.
Oh, yeah, I remember this one.
Some of your highlights. I just remember you being a thumper, man. Like, you wasn't afraid of contact.
Oh, yeah, I love contact.
And I remember, Coach Tico used to always say you was his favorite linebacker of all time, man. Because you just –
That's my contact in his phone. Yeah, that was my first varsity game.
And I like that because you didn't give up on that play.
Yeah, I tracked that one down by about 7 yards. That was that was always fun. I got double teamed on that.
Well, it looked like a hole. He looked like he was holding you.
Oh, he was. It didn't matter though.
Just never giving up on a play. That's just full effort. You was always in on a tackle.
Yeah, like, I mean, even if I knew I wasn't going to be the main hitter, I mean, I would just try to just get a finger on him. I wouldn't just stop the play even if I knew he was about to go down.
And Spivey, you're doing this as a sophomore. Like you said, you was 115 pounds your freshman year, gained a little weight for your sophomore year. Wasn't much bigger. I think maybe 150, 160, something like that, if I remember.
Oh, no, I was about 135.
Oh, 135.
I was little.
And this goes out to a lot of student athletes out there in high school that think, yeah, because I don't have the 40 time, I don't jump the highest, that you can't make an impact. And you can. You could definitely make an impact. And that's what I try to talk with our current student athletes about. Some kids are kind of, I'm not the biggest, I'm not the strongest, but you got to control what you can control. And that's the controllables. I talked to you about it. Yeah. What can you control? You can't control how tall you get. So just go out there, you can control your effort. And you always gave 100% effort. So I'll get into one more clip. All right, Spivey, 7-7. One thing that I don't think that you had an opportunity to do a lot, but I think on this play you enjoyed it a lot. You didn't drop back in a lot of times. You didn't drop back in coverage. As our middle linebacker, you did a lot of A gap, B gap stuff, plugging holes and stuff, and running down plays. So this was kind of unique to see you do this. So let me play this clip.
So I lit him behind me because I know he was going to bite there.
That was pretty impressive when we seen that if you remember in that play, because we had invited a lot bigger schools, not but 4A schools there. So I could tell a few guys were a little intimidated, but it was some guys that was just ready. They're ready to play. And that was a pretty big play for us. You want to speak about that?
Yeah, so that was against Christ the King, I want to say. And we had that 7-on-7,
I think that was Garinger. That wasn't Christ. No, that was Garinger.
Okay. We had just big teams. We had Garinger, we had Independence there, we had West Charlotte, who we ended up beating in the championship for that. But so that game, I think we were kind of neck and neck for the most part. And so we were really just trying to just get our scores up. And I think we had just scored a touchdown, and that was the first play off of it, off that score. And then so I catch it and get a pick six. And so that just really helped us seal it. And I knew it. And that wasn't something I never got an interception except for then. That was a 7-on-7, but also freshman year. And so, it was just a awesome experience seeing that. I remember I watched back on the clip tons of times to see the coaches jumping up and down and stuff. It was an awesome play, especially for the time when we had just scored and just get 6 more points. That was great.
No doubt. I'm going to share one last slideshow with you. All right, Mike, let's talk about this. Wide-eye sophomore year. What does this look?
It looks like he can't make a tackle.
Well, you can make a tackle. But it was like you was always second-guessing yourself.
Yeah. I remember you had to talk me out of that. You ended up talking me out of second-guessing myself, and I remember y'all just kept saying, stop thinking so damn much.
Yeah. I bet that came from Coach Baker, did it?
Coach Baker and Coach Wynn kind of drilled that in. I'd be like, oh, I thought he was going to whip around to the C gap. And they're like, why? Why were you thinking about that? I was like, I don't know.
I'm going to go to another picture. Again, just talking a little bit about you and Coach Baker relationship. I thought it was special, you Coach Wynn relationship in that first year, because obviously when I came in, they was already on staff. Mm-hmm. But you was able, no matter what the coach was, it didn't matter if it was Coach Baker, Coach Wynn, Coach D. Rich, you always locked in on your coach and you always listened. So for me, this picture always represented how coachable you were. That's the key thing, coachable. Spivey, I can tell you right now, some kids think, hey, I got all the tools, I got all the talent. And we had kids that play with you like that. All the tools and all the talents to do anything, but the one thing they was missing is just being coachable and not knowing what that is. Any advice, to any student athlete out there on how to be coachable?
So the biggest thing, my big reason I became coachable was I started out very average. And then I realized the coaches have the tools I need to get better. My body doesn't, so the coaches are. So I think if anyone is told they're not coachable or starts just seeing other people that they are, just sit back for a second and, just don't be cocky. Just you can understand, like, there's a difference between confidence and cockiness.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I won't name any names, but there was, like, times where there was a time I missed a tackle on a play, and right after someone else missed a tackle. And we were in film, and I said, hey, like just, like you had your head down and stuff. And they instantly just went, hey, no, you missed that tackle before me. Like, you missed it too. What are you talking about? I was like, I'm fine with admitting that I missed that tackle. That's what you have to do. And so if that's someone's reaction to types of plays like that, they're not coachable, and then coaches are going to see that. So, like, my biggest advice basically is just sit back for a second and realize that, the coaches know what they're talking about more than you. They have lived the game of football for all of their, usually 40 plus years of life, and you're 18 years old. Like, my biggest advice is just listen. Don't think that you're the greatest, and don't think that you're too good for any advice.
That's great advice, Spivey. I'm gonna get into this next picture. For me, this picture is like so symbolic for the school and who we are. And I think during that time, it was a few political things, I won't get into it, that was going on with football. And when you guys came out for military night, holding the flag together, and that's you and Taekwon Smooth Johnson. And I think that was just, that just represented like what we was all about. And it's just a game, but also it's people out here that sacrificing their life and on a bigger cause to keep us safe and everything. Any comments on this picture right here?
Yeah, like you said, that leading up to that week was like a bunch of stuff going on. And like you talked to us before, it's like we're all brothers, as you can see in that. You see Carson and Noah, they're looking at each other, having fun. Me and Smooth are running out with the flag. Like, we just don't let anything come between. Like, we just don't let anything complicate anything that's going around with our team. Nothing, like, just like having such a good bond with each other, not letting any outside forces come into that barrier. And I just, military nights were always just so great. I loved the jerseys. I love just thinking about going out on the field, getting to wear that, getting to run out of that, thinking about the people that have fought for our freedom and all that.
And what's cool about this picture too, it wasn't staged. Y'all did that on your own, and it just happened naturally. And that kind of painted a picture about who we were and who we are, especially that season. And that was our 2016 season, your junior year, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sure.
Okay. Help explain this next picture right here. This is one of my favorite pictures of all time, because when I go back and I look at this picture, it just shows like each guy in that picture has their own journey. Yeah. But all of y'all are great students. I'm talking about 3.0 or better in college right now. Mm. So I thought that was a pretty cool picture. We took it in the water. Shout out to Mike Strauss for having this idea of I think the idea was Mountain Island, right? Just being on an island. So that was pretty cool. This next picture, explain this. Who's this big boy right here?
That is the turkey I shot about a week and a half ago. That's another advice for people, if you student athletes who ended up just taking the academic route, find a hobby. Because just looking at that, because like the thing about turkeys is they have like a bird's eye view, so they can see you blink from a mile away, basically. And it's just, so I look at that and I see that as, I have as much joy in that picture as any game that I won with everyone out on the field. Just love that.
No doubt. Well, before we go, any shout outs? I know you talked about, Coach Wynn, Coach Baker, Coach Tico, just different coaches. Any shout outs that you have to anybody out there or any lasting advice before we close out?
Well, you definitely want to just first two big shout outs, Coach Wynn and Coach Baker. They just, I mean, nothing in my football career would have gone the same because they were there before all the big transition and stuff would have gone as the same as if it wasn't for them. And then just big advice just to people like coming out of high school with their playing football, whether you go to college or whether you go to college to play or you just go for academics, just know, like, do not take it for granted like that. Like, you might be sitting there hoping oh, it's lightning outside, because I remember I did this a ton. Like, if it was just a day I wasn't feeling it, I'd be like, oh, there's rain outside, it's lightning, it's too hot, maybe practice will be canceled. And it's like, I would give anything to go back and just have one more high school practice, that type of thing. So just never take anything for granted.
No doubt. And before we go, do you have any Coach Baker, Coach Wynn impressions? I'm interested in this. I'm
trying to.
Or anything funny they say
that aren't too explicit.
Yeah, keep it clean.
Honestly, dang, that's hard. I'm drawing a blank.
Don't worry about it. What I know, Miss Starling, she's gonna do a panel. That's what it is, a panel. She's doing a senior panel where she's bringing former students back. So I want you to be able to commit to that if you got time.
Yeah. Do you know when that is, or?
She's gonna send some information out.
Okay.
She'll send some information out, and just be on the lookout for it.
Okay.
All right. Hey, Spivey, it was good catching up with you, brother.
Yes,
Coach love you, and I want you, stay in contact. I know we text every now and again, but don't be a stranger. Come back. This is family, and this is something bigger than football or just a sport at all. All right, Spivey, take care.
All right.